40 minutes of the best basketball you have in your soul. That doesn't mean a perfect game. Just your best. Your best.
As today, your Fighting Tigers play for their first ever national championship as they take on the Iowa Hawkeyes.
And the national championship game is underway.
Now she's headed in the lane, spin move, turns, fires it to Williams, layup is good. Down to Johnson, dunks under, lays it in, and counts on a foul. Johnson got the ball left side, took it home, and LSU can take the lead. To Reese, spin move off the glass, 5-footer good by Reese. Morris into the corner, Poole, 3-ball right side, it's good. Kateri Poole seems to hit big threes postseason. Pass down low, it's taken. Stolke misses, it was blocked. I think Samaya got it. Johnson has it. Left wing Morris fakes a three. Pass into the left corner, here's Carson for three.
Hey!
Johnson will kick it to Poa. Wide open three left side. Poa hits it! LSU picked a heck of a day to bury him from outside. Now low Williams layup is good. Carson is playing the game of her life.
Yes, she is.
She's on the run. We'll get it right wing. Carson, 3 more. Yes!
What?
Oh my
What?
goodness!
What?
Desmond Carson! Not over
Come
backdoor
in.
pass. Knocked away. It's stolen by Johnson. Johnson heads to the bucket. Layup. Johnson. Good! With 3. She will hand it to Carson. Fades away for 3. She baked it in!
Oh!
Carson falling away. Baked it in! She can't miss!
You can't sit back and say, oh, we got to lead. You got to play like we did in the fourth quarter the other day, like we behind. We are behind! Okay?
Let's defend y'all. Let's go, y'all. Here we go, guys. Here we go.
She's looking under the basket. Will bounce it to Morris. 6-footer off the glass and in. A great play out of the inbound.
Great execution.
Morris is going to dribble through traffic. She's down the lane. Going to dish to Williams. Layup is good. Williams layup is good. Morris gets a screen. 12-footer left side. Good. Alexis Morris hits again. 5. Out to Poole. 3-ball. Right wing Poole. Yes! It's good! It's good! It's good! The Tigers are going to win it! It's 98-82. 3, 2, 1. Ball game is over! Your Fighting Tigers are national champions in year number 2 of the Kim Mulkey era. 102-85 the final.
Things do happen when you piece it together.
And your LSU Tigers are national champions for the first time ever in year number 48 and year number 2 of the Kim Mulkey era.
This is surreal.
What's going on?
What's up, everybody? Let me get myself in order real quick.
What's going on, everybody? This is the One and One Sports Show. I am Dante.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Shawnee.
And I see as you can tell, it's baseball season. Me and Shawnee, repping our respective teams. But man, this is another one of those times of sports where I'm not gonna lie, I'm excited. It's a lot going on. It helps when your teams are winning, that you root for it, and you got your other team coming, and it's like Shawnee always says, football has no off season because it's quiet now, but we're getting ready for the draft. Like I've done one mock draft so far. I'm gonna do another one just to kind of see, because I have a theory on this. It's kind of like Madden at times. Sometimes you can play Madden or play 2K or whatever, and they'll whatever the evaluators think of certain players, they'll have that information out there or whatever. And so sometimes when you see stuff, either they want to drive something or they think something could happen. Obviously, the Bijan to the Cowboys, I don't think it's happening. I hope he's taken so that decision has not had to be made. But it's just interesting to look and see what people are thinking. Man, we literally, by the time we have our next show, I believe the play-in games will be happening. Because I think the play-in games happen, I think on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then on Thursday and Friday, the other two happen. Then the playoffs start Saturday.
Yeah,
and
the last week of the season.
So it's the last week. So by the time we talk next week, everything will be solidified and finalized. Who's going to play in, who's in, who's out. And it's real interesting. But what's crazy is, and I'm glad for it because, I feel like some people who are champions of women's sports, sometimes they don't they listen too much to the people that are naysayers. Like on my Facebook group, I'll post something about women's sports. They're like, "Why you?" I was like, "Bro, if you don't care, why did you post on the comment? Like, if you don't." But I feel like that some of the most vocal people who don't care, like they mention it. But it's like I don't have a problem with it. I'll watch it. But what happened with this women's national championship was amazing. Like just to see it, like I only negative I'll give it is the fact that it went on during the day, and I already knew why because I was like, hey, why did it go on? ESPN's baseball, everybody, they have their standalone Sunday night baseball game, and so a Sunday night baseball, so they wasn't gonna have the game to kind of conflict. Because after the championship, you had a hoop, you had the confetti and the post game interviews. So they had it in enough time, but for it to take over the way it did and the eyeballs to be on it, and as you can tell in the comment of the video, the controversy or alleged controversy around it, it's just been wild to see. I was thinking like, man, will this die down by Wednesday? Nope, because nope, it has not died down.
What time did that game start?
Man, all I know is I was working, and I think it started around
Probably 5?
2. It might have started around like 2 or something. Yeah, because I was like, the guys was talking about in the group, I was like, they already playing? And I looked up and I was like, so I had my ESPN Plus on with my sound down, and I'm watching, and I'm like, okay. So I got to watch some of it like through that, because if you're working and watching, you're not fully ingesting everything.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was 2 p.m. on Sunday.
Yeah, and so I was like, that's the only kind of drawback. But obviously, from the 9.9 people that watched, and I want to say that the high turn-in was like 12 million, clearly people was watching.
Yeah, they said it was the highest one on record, the most views on record.
And to be honest, this was a weird time, and I don't know how often you get it. Normally, you'll get I will say the women's game, it's a little bit more imbalanced than the men's at times. So you'll see a lot of chalk. Like when I fill out my bracket from the women's side, it's a lot of chalk. Like I remember I filled out for Caitlin Clark last year and them to go deep because I was like, my buddy kept saying, I was like, who is this you keep talking about? And I was like, he's like, she cold. And I was like, okay, she is pretty raw. Like I literally saw somebody in the airport with her jersey on. Like, and so it's like they had like an impactful star. I felt like Angel Reese is another impactful star. So you had more star power than the men's game. The tickets were higher than the men's game, and you probably outdrew the men's game. They may have outdrew the men's game because I know I wasn't.
Yeah, just because the men's didn't have the usual.
They didn't have and that's where it came to turn. Like I was talking with with some of my friends, and they were like, "Yeah, man, like you want." we happy it's the Final Four, but it's kind of like it's a little dampened. Like it's not, because a lot of people, especially with Texas on the cusp in the Elite Eight, with the lead they had, and then to lose it, it was kind of like it was already
Texas and U of H had a chance to, make it to Houston.
So it was a letdown. And I think it was cool that both. As far as sports cities, as far as like hosting events, I thought it was great to see the Houston area, the Houston to host it and Dallas to host it. I thought that was really good. Like as far as it being like this is a place to host events. The only thing I'll say is for Houston hosting it is somebody and it's tough on social media when you catch those angles. It was like stop hosting basketball games in these arenas, and they had this shot of this person, and I was like, bro, they can't see that court. Like they be
having them in the football arenas, man. It was like no different if folks be watching pro wrestling and how WrestleMania they be having those, and that's a smaller venue as far as the actual field of play, that ring compared to a basketball court. They both be having them in basketball arenas. I'd be like, but I wouldn't go to no stadium for no WrestleMania. Look at no little dot because it's just so small in that big football stadium. But I would go to a Final Four game just because it's just, well, both of them have that energy, that atmosphere. But yeah, I know because basketball players are normally used to playing in basketball arenas. And when they play in them football arenas, the depth they have to get used to the first several minutes just because it's not normal compared to a regular basketball arena. But I wanted as y'all saw the video that we kicked it off on with the women's championship game, and then as you mentioned, Dante, the fallout, the Caitlin Clark Angel Reese interaction really got more attention than the game itself. Everybody just knew LSU won, but then that was it. LSU won. Okay, we done with the team. Now we just want to talk to Caitlin Clark and talk about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And the way it looked like before the game, it almost looked like, because this is LSU's first championship, and I'll kind of get to that one in a minute. It felt like mainstream America was behind Iowa.
Yeah, I think it's 100% accurate. I'll be like this. Let's be real. The viewers of our show was probably pulling for LSU. I'm gonna say that. I'll say the viewers of our show. I know of Caitlin Clark. She's a star. If you watch SportsCenter, if you follow the women's college,
that's what I was gonna bring, because that's all. Caitlin Clark was the only women's basketball player for the majority of the March Madness that ESPN was interviewing. I mean, she was down there making on ESPN rounds. I think she did first take, some sports centers. It was just basically Caitlin Clark. I remember watching First Take, and the only time they even mentioned about the women's tournament was because of Caitlin Clark. And then and then we'll get to the interaction between her and Reese, but you hear all the time, especially on the men's side, that styles make fights when it comes to certain teams.
Mm-hmm.
And people was not expecting because Caitlin Clark reminded me of how the Lakers was with Kobe and how teams approached them. We ain't gonna be able to stop you, but we're gonna shut down everybody else. That's technically what LSU did. I forgot how much Clark had. She had 30 plus, I believe. But when they played against South Carolina, I think it was like a perfect storm. Caitlin Clark went off.
Yeah, Caitlin had 30.
And South Carolina was missing shots. That was the team. So when Iowa pulled an upset on South Carolina, you can see LSU just salivate at the mouth. We know we match up well against them. The beast has been taken out because I think South Carolina going to roll against anybody they played with in that championship game. They already did against LSU when they had that meeting earlier in the season where they was undefeated. South Carolina rolled them up and moved them out the way. But when Iowa took them out, LSU like, okay, we know we can match up. It's kind of like how FBU did against Purdue, because they knew they could match up well against Purdue, even though Purdue was the number one seed. They were like, we match up well against you. And that was LSU when they saw Iowa, because once South Carolina was what I was like, well, damn. Same thing with college football when TCU beat Michigan, and Georgia was like, they barely got out the game versus Ohio State. And then also, okay, we got TCU. Oh, yeah, we know we're going to match up.
You got that. I felt like that was going to be the story for either one of those games. And that's why I was telling one of my partners. He was like, hey, TCU was like Max Duggan. And I was like, look, I'm not being negative, but being from Fort Worth, bro, I've seen Max Duggan, like, let the city down, like, let the team down. Like, this was a perfect storm of you played your best year at the best time. And it wasn't that case for, like, Iowa. But I'll say this. If you look at it, I've been following it. Like, I've been seeing that who was it? Was really, really doing their thing, LSU. And Angel Reese, that's what I was like, man, she's killing. I was like, she's good. I didn't even realize that she was a transfer. And, I'll get that she was a transfer from Maryland. She's from Baltimore. On her profile, it says from Baltimore. LSU had lost, I think they lost in the conference tournament, but I know they had 2 regular season losses, both to South Carolina. When it's a team like that where they're built to beat you, it is a relief when they lose. And I know people say this in sports. Hey, you gotta want to beat the best, and you gotta. Hey, bro, if that happens and the chip fall where they may, I know they was like, whoo, we ain't gotta go deal with Aaliyah Boston and that 6'7" chick that is just like when she's on it. I was just like, they get like it was crazy to how they lost the rebounding edge. Like and the rebound is what cost South Carolina that game. They had a 25-2 edge. It's just that sports for you. And that's why I was just like, hey, man, I felt like this was a good platform for the women's game. I want to be on that positive side. And I see in the comments the loves. I hear what you said. You are right. They do love a great white height. And Caitlin Clark is also good. So it's like mainly good with a lot of hype as well. And it's like, yeah, it happened. It happened to Storm, and she was there. They were like, it was kind of like a swan song. Like, yeah, this the great story. Because last year, fun fact, Angel Reese's team knocked her team out last year as well in an upset. But it's like, you got this great story. We're selling this because sports on a television product level is a TV product. So you have to sell the story. You have the announcers that have their pieces and talking points, and they're selling it. And then it's like, this group of sisters with some flavor and some style and some flair is coming out here, and they kicking ass. And what's going on, Hank?
Hey, what's up, Doc?
They just it got bad. It was a pretty solid game, and then it got away. And it's just like, man, I say hats off to him, especially winning the first championship. Kim Mulkey this certifies her definitely now. I mean,
this is her
she won
fourth.
3 at Baylor.
She won 3 at Baylor, yeah.
So 3 at Baylor, and then you're set, like you said, this is my second year here. So at this point, I think it's a good thing, because a lot of times women's college hoops, it's like a power emerge. And so we know basically at this point, I'm not putting dirt on them, but I am. I think UConn is going to be tough to kind of get back to the level that they were. South Carolina could actually be made better if LSU becomes a power. So it's like we're recruiting against them. We're making sure I open our games. And then when they hit the tournament, it's like we're already playing the best. So when we get here, if we just focus, we'll handle business and we'll be regularly in the Final Four. And so it'll be interesting to see how it goes, because Angel is only a sophomore. Like, I seen her tweeted, and I was just like, hey, you only a sophomore? And Caitlin Clark is a junior. So we're going to get another year of the Caitlin Clark show. We're going to get that again. So that'll be interesting. That'll be really interesting. I just want South Carolina hit the transfer report on get some shooters. Because it's like, it was a glaring weakness. And I saw people that were like pointing it out, like with just wide open.
I'm pretty sure they're gonna load right back up. Before
Before
that loss, they won what, 90 straight games?
42.
42?
Yeah, they hadn't lost since last March. And I was like,
yeah.
Whoa.
It was something, I don't know where I saw 90 something, but I don't know how the hell I doubled their wins. But yeah, so we get to the main event of the whole Iowa LSU, between the, I guess you could call it controversy. I don't think between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, even though Caitlin Clark downplayed the whole thing.
Yeah. Hey, wait, Sonny, before you get into that, you wanna know something that led into it, and it's kind of like some of that energy? Some of that led off into Don Staley's press conference. And I know you saw it on Facebook when they were talking about it in Hoop Jargon. They were talking about how, like, Don Staley, some people kind of felt that, I know some people weren't going to like it because she said it after they lost, but, they're in that game and they're following it better than I follow it. So they're hearing people say things about their team because they're big, they're physically intimidating, they get a lot of rebounds, they kill you in the glass, and it's a physical game when you play them. But some of the way they've been talking about their team and calling them, some of the language is, there's language that's usually reserved for black teams, whether male or female. They say these things, and I think that's kind of where it started. And obviously, like you said, the only person really getting interviews was Caitlin Clark and Don Staley in South Carolina. And so I think people have to look at it from that lens, to where if you are 34-2 you might want to get a little bit of coverage. To be honest, they really had a case, you probably could say, for a 1 seed, but they were a 3 seed. And that's where I think where some of Angels and everybody's frustration was coming from. Like, and then as an athlete, you build it up and you say, it's cliche, nobody believes in this. It's like, yeah, bro, you're a Division I athlete, but nobody believes in you. And it's one of those deals where that's what you do. And then now you can take off. And with that context, I think that's how we got here.
Well, I think it goes back to what I mentioned earlier, that and I truly believe what Iowa represented, going to that game. And you saw that when the game was over with, and then people was acting like they were just so appalled by what Angel Reese was doing, and they, she said it. You saw multiple news media outlets bring it up. Hell, even a local DFW sports anchor brought it up about how Caitlin Clark, she does the John Cena can't see me. She talks trash on the court, and it all basically just gets wrapped up in the talking trash on the court.
Yeah.
Something that is done all the time, and people who watch sports, we never paid no attention to it because we see it all the time. But when Reese was doing it, I had no problem with Reese doing the hand gesture and pointing, to the ring of the finger. Now, did she kind of take it a little bit too far because she was following Clark? Because usually, sometimes in the men, if you're going to taunt somebody and you're going to follow them, okay, usually something's going to happen after, because, okay, now because you've seen Dame Lillard hit a game shot. He waving off OKC, but Dame is on the other side of the court, and he not in nobody's face. You see them all the time when you saw Patrick Beverly when he did a float over LeBron. Everybody keep doing the too little, but they doing it as they moving away.
As they moving away.
But with Reese was doing it in her face.
Yeah.
It could be, but Clark, she took it in stride. She didn't, because she knew what was up about it. So I really didn't have no issue. Maybe she kind of did too much because she was really trying to put it in the face and point at her finger for the ring.
Look, the further you get away from it, you can be more honest. Now that it's Wednesday, it's okay. It's okay. You're not looked at as you're hating on a black woman if you say, hey, she put a little too much sauce on it. But I exit out because I say, you're in the heart of a moment. You just won you about to win a national championship. You don't tell them what's going through your head. You've been hearing hate. And then let's be real. What does she average? On the top of my head, 25 and 12. So you like, look, I'm a player of the year candidate. Well, she got player of the year. Well, we gonna get this ring. No telling what was going through her head. And I feel like, hey, she was hyped up about it.
Well, I think what Reese was saying, she was mentioning the time Caitlin Clark, when they was playing against South Carolina, when she waved off one of the SC players who was on the three-pointer. Kind of how the NBA do Westbrook, but she waved them off though. They don't really wave them off a lot. They just leave them alone and just start looking towards the backboard. But she actually waved them off, and then it's her spirit of Dennis Rodman. And after she did that, for majority of her wins, because she did against Louisville and South Carolina, she did the John Cena hand gesture. Yeah. So that was what Reese was mentioning to it in her post-game interview. And she was like, man, she's been doing it, something like this the whole tournament, and y'all never said anything about it. It wasn't a story. But then also when I do it, now it's a story so much that we barely even talking about the team that won the game. Y'all want to focus more on my can't see me and pointing at my ring finger because and then how, for whatever reason, when it comes to women's sports, there's just a population out there that looks at women's sports, because I look at them like, you are college women's sports, college basketball is basically you're an elite athlete on both men and women when you're playing college sports, and there you have you have the opportunity to become a pro. So when you play sports, the main thing about sports that drives it is the competitiveness of the game.
Mm.
When you are really competing, it's like when you can be playing basketball with your best friends, homeboys you grew up with. When y'all go out on a blacktop, play some ball, that competitive spirit come out so much. Hey, y'all damn near about to fight on the court. Just because that's what the game brings out. Then as soon as the game over with, it's done. Y'all laughing about it, sitting on top of the park benches, laughing and doing whatever.
Yeah.
That competitiveness that is sports. And for whatever reason, when many people look at women's sports, they try to put women in this box, like how they do it in society, as far as you're not supposed to act like this, you're not supposed to, you ignoring the whole thing. They are elite athletes doing what they do. Just like how the men, the competitiveness, that is a part of the game. It's going to be trash talking. It's going to be tempers flaring. That's just because they want to win. They all going at it to win. So you can't look at it as men and women. They are elite athletes doing their thing. So
that's putting a lot of hours for this.
Exactly. So when you see, cause you see it in the comments after the game, this is not something that they should be doing. She's classless. All of this, negative connotation towards Reese. And I'm like, dude, y'all been saying this on the men's side. As long as the men don't actually start fist fighting, y'all be saying this on the men's side. Not only do y'all not say anything, y'all egg it on. Y'all more. You want more.
It's like and that's the thing. Like you can't. Sometimes the people be telling on themselves with how they talk about it, and like I want to say it was a writer. I can't remember him, but he was on. It was one of those on Twitter. Now they have like the people you follow, and then they be like, hey, these are things you're interested in. So of course they know I like sports. So they had like somebody had a breakdown of how they treat the competitive, how they call it. Oh, competitive spirit, and she's a gamer and all that kind of stuff. Versus when a black player does it, how it's look perceived. Because there was a young lady from Louisville, and I want to say if you ever and who she was is the woman that was in that clip.
Haley Van Life.
Yes, and the woman that was and you could tell, hey, when she wrote up on that girl from Texas, hey, she wasn't feeling it. Whatever was said between the exchange, she wasn't feeling what was said on that.
I don't know if you heard of John Boy Media on YouTube or whatnot. Mm-hmm. He's known for doing lip reading on sport events. He broke that down on that, and if you read their lips, you can see what the Texas player was saying to Haley.
Yeah, because she got up out of there. She got up out of there real quick. It was one of those, like you said, oh, ha, hey, it was competitive sport. It's one of those times, sometimes after it's too new, or I really didn't like what happened there, and that exchange is just like in the men's game. You get into it, and it's a little bit of jawing. Somebody has to break it up, but they got to look at it as this. This didn't just happen. Like, I see a lot of youth basketball because of my brother. So I was at a girls' game, and I will say, hey, man, the intensity is just the same. So they were down the whole game, and I saw the little girl tell the girl from the other team when they won, bye, and just wave at her. And I was like, damn, clock hit 0. You can't do nothing. And it's like, bro, they have been like this their entire life. They are competitors. They're in the same circuit that the boys are on, going and playing against the best. They know some of these chicks. They've played against them or seen them in play. It's like, bro, you cannot like try to guard and water there. And that's when they talking about, hey, respect women's sports, and it's like watch women's sports, support it. They talk about stuff like that, but like, hey, you can't sit up there and demean what I do. I'm just competing just like they are. It's kind of like, it reminds me of from one of my favorite movies, and I don't know why it slipped from my head, Love and Basketball. When Monica was like in the beginning, when she was just like, hey, I can't act like this, and you telling her she can't act a certain way. She's like, if a male does it, it's fine. And I feel like it's the same kind of deal. And it's like that's the biggest thing is yeah, she may have went a little over the top, but it's like it's in the heat of the moment. Give them benefit of the doubt. It's not, and like she's interviewed afterwards and said, hey, it's all cool. She downplayed it. It just, the bigger thing to me is how telling people have been. Like I've seen people joking, was like, hey man, this Caitlin Clark and this Angel Reese, and them brought back segregation. They jokingly, but it's like a lot of people you can really see. It's like, if you feel like that over a basketball clip, how do you really feel in your regular life? Like that's problematic. But it's like a lot of people have said it. From what's that idiot used to be at ESPN, Keith Olbermann.
Keith Olbermann, yeah. What's
Yeah,
up, Dre? What's up, Dre? But
He
yeah,
just
Keith
going
Olbermann,
out.
he be
Just going out like a clown.
he said
like
something about I forgot what was the other incident he talked
What
about
up, Andre?
or tweeted about. No, Keith Olbermann. I forgot what was the other. Yeah, that dude be out of pocket so many times. I forgot it was another story that he was out of pocket for, and I can't remember. It was recent too. It was recent, but I can't remember.
Hey,
Yeah,
well,
I saw that tweet that he did
yeah.
with about Reese now.
Yeah. Well, hold on, KP. I'll say this about the women's game and the viewership rating. From people that play basketball and watch basketball, they aren't as fans of the college game right now. Like I saw what's the name, De'Aaron Fox, just berated. He was like, I don't like the coaching, I don't like the shot making. He was just kind of going down and berating the game. So it's not just that ESPN force feeds it. It is something that I think on the men's side, the college game can tweak it a little bit to make it better. Like obviously, people are very open about their critiques about the NBA, but as far as the college, they're not so much. And so I do think there are some things that they could do it to make it a little bit better. Like one thing I know in the college game I hate is using all the timeouts. Like it gets overcoached. Like, bro, I heard someone say that once, and I was like, and I sat back and I watched the game, and I was like, bro, like let them make, like you've coached them, let them make a decision. Let the point guard, let them, everything is, let me call a play, but that's because on the college level, especially the higher level, the coach is the star. Even because the guys won't be one, the top guys, one and done, maybe two. You don't get a lot of 4-year guys. Even if it's a 4-year guy, who was there longer? Coach K or Christian Laettner? As popular as he was. And so I feel like there's some of that, and it's like ego, like some things we shouldn't get, like Jim Boeheim just retired. Bro, you should have retired like 5 years ago. Like you were not winning at that level. I know he was staying there to coach his son. When his son's eligibility came through and expired, he should have been shown the door. They should have went out together. That would have been great. But it's just like there are some things that they got to change. Because I know college football, it's a monster. It'll eat you up. Like if let's say even have 2 more seasons like these last ones, they're gonna get impatient.
Yeah, college football, because there's just so much
different
money
monster
behind it. So much money for the whole season. College basketball, unless you just follow that sport, like you love college basketball is dangerously getting to the point, if not already, that the regular season is just totally ignored.
Yeah.
And that's why you be hearing everybody always want to expand these tournaments.
No.
College football tournament, expand that. College basketball tournament, expand that. Hell, they already expanded NBA by adding this play-in tournament. And so everybody be wanting to expand. Hell, Major League Baseball, they playoffs got expanded. They added more teams. Football did too. So, but with the college basketball, what is it? It's 68 teams because you got the first 4. So 68 teams now make it. I heard they want to expand it to like, what, 96? Just because it gives a better chance for the Blue Buds, more of them, to get into the tournament. And I'm like, man, if y'all were to do that, because the biggest thing about now in college basketball, more than any other, well, more than college football, I don't really know the other collegiate sports do this. The smaller teams like, hell, Prairie View, FDU, they still have a chance to make it to the big dance. Now, they have to be winners of their respective conference title, but they still have a chance to make it to the big dance compared to the Power 5 schools who don't have to win their conference title, but because they are ranked or whatnot, they will get pretty much automatic bids down there to the tournament. So when you expand it to this 96 team or whatever they proposing, you literally just the hell with the regular season.
Pretty
So
much.
conference titles, especially from the smaller schools, going to lose their value. You're going to be putting a lot of these teams that they really shouldn't be in there anyway. But since you want to meet the quota of add more teams, the quality of play is going to go down. So it's just like you already have 68 teams, and it's a fairly nice system. Which when you have the smaller schools win their respective tournaments to get into the big dance, just leave it alone. It's successful right now. Just leave it alone. But yeah, with college basketball more than anything, man, they keep tweaking it, or if they do tweak it, they will basically eliminate the need for a regular season. It'll be the same thing on the women's side. The only thing about the women's side that I remember, it was the gift and the curse. It really was the curse. Was when UConn was so dominant, people just didn't watch women's basketball because you already knew, man, hell, UConn gonna win this, and they was going on and winning it. They were just so dominant. Now they still a great team, but now you be seeing them maybe lose 3. Because I remember when they lost a game back then, it made Sports Center, the bottom ticker, all that when they lost. Cause they were just so dominant. They were just going through seasons, especially during that Diana Taurasi era. They just going through seasons undefeated. And then you just be like, well, you already know who's going to win the title. So, if people think that it's not going to be really a big want to go watch something that they already kind of know the outcome.
Yeah.
But now they have some parity because they are more prone to have these powerhouses. South Carolina is one of them, where they would pretty much just steamroll through the tournament. The men's basketball right now, though, it's just, and I like it. I like it where it is right now. You don't know who's going to make it to the Final Four. You don't know who, and you saw that, man. You had a 9th seed made it to the Final Four and almost went to the championship game if it was a last-second shot. So I like that period of basketball because now you got to stay on, and with these bigger schools, and they be getting a lot of the younger, highly recruited, but they don't stay there long enough. Meanwhile, the smaller schools, we having these juniors and seniors, and a lot of those dudes can ball. They just wasn't highly recruited. They be wanting that stage. They be wanting that stage. So when they finally get it, them boys shine.
And it's the what's the name is also switching the balance of power. The coaches that have the connections for the transfer portal. So to getting the transfer portal, getting guys, that helps a lot because that was the one thing I was worried about losing Chris Beard. But when I heard Rodney Terry, basically beat his chest and was like, man, Chris Beard didn't recruit these players by itself. He was just like, I had a hand in recruiting that starting 5, and I was like, talk your talk, brother. Like, and he did because I do know that Ron Holland, who was a McDonald's All-American from Duncanville, he was just like, he was happy with the move, and so was another recruit they got. So I'm like, if they're happy about this, so he's got relationships and they wanted him to get that job, you got a blue chip guy, and it's always like it's a double bonus when you get those blue chips because it's one thing that he may only be here a year, but he's going to show other guys that you can come here, be on the national stage, get drafted, because that was basically how Texas was until this year. Like, you can go to Texas, you can still get drafted. You're going to get on some national games, but most important thing is you're going to get drafted. Might not win in the tournament much, but you're going to go to get drafted and get your bag. And that's what it is. So I appreciate everybody out in the chat. Appreciate, Andre, man, I appreciate you. And like Andre said, man, hit that like button. Share it to some people because I know a lot of people were talking about this. So share it to them so they can see it. Hopefully they can jump in now. They can catch it on the playback. But I think this was good because one thing that frustrates me about some of the people that are looking for support from the women's game at times is because I feel like they come off really seeming really angry about things, and they come off real chippy. I say the word is chippy about say, hey, you need to support the game and do this and do that. And the thing is, a lot of times is if men are gonna watch it, they're gonna watch it. And then I feel like the people that more so being converted is more women watching it, and that's why the numbers aren't as high. But I'm glad that they were able to have a game because I didn't see it as, I remember when I was young, when the WNBA came out, I was like, okay, more hoops. And so I watched it one pops. I remember the Comets winning 4 straight. And then I don't know exactly what happened financially with them. Obviously, it didn't work out because they had to they ended up moving from there to
it was
Silver
some,
Stars.
They was playing at this like arena next to the Astrodome for a while.
Yeah.
So and then ultimately got defunct.
Things happened and they got that. So it's just and then I want to say the team from Tulsa ended up coming and becoming the Dallas Wings. So it's different things happen. It's kind of been tough for them to capitalize from the fame they're at in college, and then they go down. Whereas in the NBA, the college role is hey, you have a certain level of fame here, even if you go to a Duke, but you got to go to the NBA. So then it goes up, and so it's reversed, and they haven't figured out how to do it. They've tried so hard, they even gave Connecticut a franchise. And, gave them a pro team, the Connecticut Sun. So I feel like it's a good thing to market it. And with the flair that Angel Reese has, got star potential.
The college players, they have alumni backing them up.
Mm-hmm.
So LSU, you saw that with LSU. Alumni just all came out in support. Yeah. So the alumni would make up their crowd. So that's why the college game, now on the women's side, in the early rounds of the tournament, they wasn't showing up. And I remember some of the coaches that was in the tournament, they was like, hey, y'all come show us up, show up. But, of course, when it got to the Elite 8, Final 4, you saw the fan base there. Yeah. So the alumni will support the women when it comes to that. Now, when it gets to the pros, and you hear a lot of noise about the men, I guess, are not supporting them. I was like, man,
the numbers don't bear that out.
The women will rather watch whatever show that's on TV instead of watching your games. If you can get women alone to watch more WNBA games, you will see a great increase in your numbers.
I say
leave the men out of it. Hell, really, the biggest supporters that you have of the league are the players of the NBA. But they always want to, talk about the men. I say, y'all just focus on getting your own women to watch the sport.
And I respect them for getting it together as far as on the business front, as far as their CBA. I think that's been a big talking point. But I do think sometimes they talk out of turn. I saw it posted on Facebook. It was you don't know someone and you say their number, and it was Andre Iguodala. And then
I did. I brought that back up to light. It was Andre Iguodala and Ariel Powers. Yeah. And in basketball, hell, in sports with men, it's very common that we would refer to them as your jersey number.
Yeah, because that's how you know. I noticed, man. I just see you go up and make some great plays. Ooh, who was that? Who's number 6? And then you figure them out. Saying that, the interaction was just that's what I mean about being chippy. It's somebody that's actually watching you, literally watching you.
And it was more to that. So, because the post I put, you saw the immediate when Iguodala put that tweet up. Powers responded, "Hey, put some respect on my name," because Then afterwards, Iguodala he replied, "No manners." But then what Powers ended up doing, and this was way back in 2020. Yeah, 2020. But what Powers ended up doing, Powers actually went and started digging up old posts, old tweets of Iguodala. One where I believe Iguodala made a comment about he did not want his daughter to play basketball, that he didn't want her to be gay. So she went and turned to Inspector Gadget on the internet and started digging up some dirt trying to get him damn near canceled. All just originated because he said your jersey number.
Number
And
not you.
then a couple of years, fast forward a couple of years, because Iguodala never really commented on the whole thing. After he put that no manners reply, he never really commented on it afterwards. One couple of years later, Steph Curry was balling out. I think one game he had like 50. Iguodala was showing that he didn't forget. He tweeted and said, 30, number 30 is looking very, 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 very good right now. And then he put in parentheses, we call him number 30. We call him 30. And of course, he was referring back to the area powers thing. So I'm like, he was like, all of this because, and with men, because you see it both basketball, baseball, football. I'm pretty sure in hockey as well. At times we will refer to, especially if you're your teammate, we will refer to him. You see it in football all the time. Tom Brady, 12. You hear about their jersey numbers all the time. But I
He
guess
even put
with
what's
that
the name?
one,
Even put it in his branding, TB12.
yeah.
Like,
So,
because it's a big part. Like
but
people
she
play.
didn't like it.
If take it to another step, when you go to a new team, how many times did the new rich free agent be like, "Oh, I'll give you 10 G's or I'll give you this or that for that number," because that number is associated with branding. So I do think I think it's the hypersensitivity and the wanting to get more awareness and more pay. Because the one thing I will say, I don't like the pocket watching that gets done. And because I understand, like, yes, it is tough. Like I was watching, I was waiting for the Lakers to get that win. I was trying to go to bed. I had to watch the overtime, and I was watching they were giving some props to one of the former WNBA players. They were giving props. She had played with Candace Parker, and they were saying that it's tough because you end up playing year round.
Oh,
But
you talk about Deanna Nolan.
Yeah,
That's what they were talking about.
Yeah, and I was just like, and I was looking at it, I was like, okay, she was a baller. I was like, okay, because it was some, and I appreciate it because this is one you forgot about. She a 3-time champ, and so they were talking about us. Like, dang, yeah, playing year round, that's rough on the body, but you got to you got to make ends meet. So I understand them trying to push it and make more funds. Like I like it, and I think they should do more. Deanna Taurasi and Sue Bird, I think they both have had those ads with who's that with Steph Curry got the not Carvana, but
oh, you talking about
CarMax.
Yeah,
they got the CarMax ad, and like some of them is really funny. With like Steph, they when they do it, like they talk about him because they got the same amount of rings and stuff, and they was like, oh no, he's talking about her. Like those be funny. So I was like, yeah, they should give them more ads, and now they're phasing out because I think both Bird and Taurasi, I think they both might be retired. So it's like, yeah, it's something that's not gonna happen overnight. It's something that probably you and our daughters probably might see the reaps of that benefit if it keeps moving, because things like that take a while. Like to get the ball moving, the NBA to get the position it had to get I'll put it on 5 guys that helped propel the game: Bird, Magic, Jordan, Isaiah Thomas, because at that time
Bird and Magic within the country.
Yes.
Because before them, the games was on tape delay, and I think even when they was playing early, they helped the game grow, and Dr. J as well helped the game grow domestically within the U.S. Jordan helped the game grow globally.
They took them and Nike took it global, because that's why they had that movie out, but him going to the Olympic team and taking it that way and taking it global. And so that's the thing, like we're so dominant in that sport as well, as far as the Olympics on the women's side, where it's like it's not even close. So there's it's not, I don't know if it's a way for them to get that type of reach with that, but if people keep showing up in numbers like they did on Sunday afternoon, and you keep getting stars and flair, and you just a different opportunities for women like I think it'll be really great, because hey man, and that's my biggest thing, and I stand by it. And I was talking with it, like we were saying earlier, If you don't care for it, then why are you talking about it? And I think that's where you also get the chippiness. Is it's like, dang, you don't have to come and just drop an elbow on me and just take a shot. Like you know, I feel it. Like I hear hosts sometimes, and like they, sports hosts is like, I'm not talking this. Like, hey, bro, you ain't got to diss it like that. Or like, what was it like the clip Family Guy, that Family Guy clip, and I was like, bro, that's bro. But I expect that from them. You don't have to do it as like somebody that works within the industry. So, but yeah, man.
But since because we brought up the NBA a little bit, because I want to transition to NBA in particular. It's not my team, but it's a team where I live at. I want to talk about the fall of the Dallas Mavericks and just what the hell going on with them. So before the trading deadline, they was actually 6th seed. They was a 6th seed.
Yeah.
They weren't even in the play-in tournament. They was in the playoffs. And then when they made the trade to get Kyrie Irving, of course they traded
Dorian Finney-Smith,
Spencer Dinwiddie. And so some wings, and one of them a good defensive wing.
Mm-hmm.
And because you remember, Mavericks last year made it to the West Conference Finals, and they was actually statistically one of the better defensive teams in the league.
That was Jason Kidd's impact.
Jason Kidd's first, because you kept hearing about it when Carlisle was there. When he left, in Kidd's first season, it was an immediate difference between the defense the team was playing. So they were playing steady ball, like I say, because they was a 6th seed, but they wanted that extra pop, and so they made the trade to get Kyrie. And with Kyrie, I guess you got to always mention this about Kyrie, this disclaimer about him. Kyrie is probably the most skilled. Kyrie may be the most skilled basketball player I probably ever seen in the NBA. I mean, he could literally do offensively everything on the court. The boy's handles are unmatched. He can finish at the rim. He can shoot, pull up, on all of that. Offensively, the dude is just like an ultimate weapon. But for whatever reason, you can look at his time in the NBA, as skillful as he is, it does not translate his respective teams to wins. They just, whatever reason, when he got drafted by the Cavs, and I don't really bring this because he was only in the league for like 1 year, but they actually finished again at the bottom to get a number 1 overall pick. It just got traded when they got Kevin Love, so LeBron came back.
Multiple times, because I want to say the next year, Deion Waiters was taken at 3. And that's one of the things that I think it takes more nuance. So I'll break it down with more nuance. In that draft, they passed over some people that could hoop for like Waiters, who was like a good player, but I want to say like Andre Drummond went later. Like they had, like, I mean, I guess they already had Tristan Thompson, but they had some players and some pieces, and it just wasn't working out. And so it was one of those where people keep thinking that that's the way to go. It's like, we're going to keep adding these young picks. And it's like, these guys all got to come in together and gel. And so that didn't work. But I've said it on record, like, bro, like Kyrie, he's a great to pair somebody with. But for him being a standalone, it don't always work. And like in Brooklyn, it was a lot of stuff. Like
it was a lot of stuff. And then you also saw it in Boston too. It's like he was paired. He was supposed to be looked at as the piece that put them over because they already had Brown and Tatum, and they was performing better before he got there, and obviously they was performing better after he left. Yeah, so for whatever reason, he basically just puts up empty stats. That's basically what it is. He got offensive talent, but he put up but he is not the reason the Mavericks have been falling. He has been pretty much the model citizen. He has been brought there. He is doing what they brought him there to do. You can look at, because if you look at Jason Kidd, Jason Kidd is kind of like, because I don't think Jason Kidd really wanted to trade because of the sacrifice. It wasn't really nothing related to Kyrie.
It was
Like,
the
okay,
defense.
you taking my defense away.
My wing
Yeah.
defender, and he already lost other players. So I don't know. I think it was kind of. I've heard multiple things. I heard that there's a front office struggle going on, and kid didn't want certain moves, and certain things happened. I think that I don't know. I think that like maybe kid has a good relationship with Kyrie, but it's not Kyrie's fault. He's more so, hey, I kind of wanted my wing defense, But the other thing is, what the biggest problem is, and you can ask almost any Maverick fan, ask them about a trade they want. Ask them about, say, Zach LaVine. Ask them about, say, any wing guard kind of somebody that needs the ball. Now, he needs the ball too much. And it's like, God damn, bro, Luka cold. But then you get to the end of the season, you say, Luka worn out. You didn't want any trade in which you can get someone else. And now you have a trade with I don't know. And it's like everybody's expecting Kyrie to just go left. And I told him, like I've said it weeks ago, he's trying to get the bag. When you have a chance at your job to be like, okay, I'm gonna get this raise. Now imagine your raise is gonna be 40-something a year. Model citizen. It's just that one does model citizen. He's been balling, all-star level, all-star player, like he's supposed to be. He's gonna make sure he gets in position to get his bag, but things haven't worked out. But I'll say this: he beat my Lakers when he came up. He drew the defense. No Luka drew the defense, and Maxi Kleber hit the shot. Maybe Luka needs to incorporate a little bit of that. Maybe they just need to make it because everybody knows. Yeah, he passes. He will pass, but he has the ball. He dominates the ball, and since the Mavericks don't have anyone else that can handle it besides Kyrie. And, before Kyrie got there, he's going to always have it.
And that was the thing. Luka was wanting that. Luka was wanting it reminded me of James Harden when he was at the Rockets, when he kept asking for backcourt help. Luka has been asking Dallas for backcourt help. So that's what also played a part in them trading for Kyrie. But so we mentioned all that and about the Mavericks' current slide. Cause right now they are half a game out the play-in tournament.
And they playing the Kings tonight.
Huh?
And they're playing the Kings tonight.
So yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, if Kings have no defense, that's the thing. But at least they'll outscore you. So I mean, if the Mavericks offense can go blow for blow, maybe they can pull that off. But the thing about with the Mavericks, even though they are half a game currently out the play-in tournament, the two teams above them is OKC and the Timberwolves. Both of those teams own the tiebreaker over Dallas. So I'm like, well, hell, man, you're gonna have some serious help because this is the last week of the season to get into the play-in tournament. But the person I'm looking at Luka because Luka is kind of showing. Even though they went to the Western Conference Finals last year, a big part of that was Jalen Brunson. Because remember, it was one game, Luka was out, Jalen Brunson went out. So Luka is like Kyrie, super skilled offensively. They play a different style of game because Luka just stays in himself so well. He don't need to have the blazing speed on it. He's just so crafty with the ball and with his moveset. But Luka, and you can say the same thing about Kyrie, they are not the best of leaders. Luka more so because the dude constantly pouts. So he pouts when he don't get a foul call, to the point where he will be staying on the other side of the court and the ball is moving and he don't get on defense.
Seeing him play live it's kind of one of those things to where, and I think it's getting to the point where now you can say Mavericks, and I know Mavericks fans are like, yeah, I would love Luka on your team. You would. It's like, yeah, you would, but you also have to be able to critique the players that you have and be like, hey, that is a flaw of his, and not just be a complete blue and white homer for the Mavs. And it's just like, dang, man, like, come on, like
he needs a leader of the team with him.
It's just ridiculous, and it's like anybody would want him. The only thing is this, and I wish I had the numbers, and I think I took a screenshot of it, but I think I accidentally deleted it. There was like if you want to do the Luka Kyrie thing, they've actually played better when Kyrie is playing with no Luka, because he wants to play faster. The problem is Luka, the overweight guy wants to, the guy that's not in the good shape. He wants to play slower and then you're playing slower like you say, the James Harden comp for him is perfect. But you want to play slower so you can have the ball, run ISO, and they're all spread out, with the shooters. But when you play faster, they can get on the break and they can go. You can hit them. They can get the moving. Like the ball can move, the ball can flow. And so I think that he needs to incorporate some ability to be able to play a little bit faster. He needs to hey, okay, so you're a bigger guy. Man, get strong and so guys can't get past you. You got to do something on the defensive end of the floor to be able to not make it you just a one-dimensional guy. And that's the thing that it comes to me when it comes to, and I know Love mentioned this about why they love voting for white MVPs. That's something that needs to hold him up from getting an MVP until his defensive level intensity sticks up.
Well, when people bring up that with the defensive MVP, I'd be like, well, they do have a defensive MVP award. So I basically look at that, and then MVP is just, call it what it is. It's just an offensive award.
It's the offensive player of the year. But the thing is, for you to be so valuable, offense is more valuable than defense. And so I understand that, but I don't think you need to be a sieve. They have agendas. And if y'all haven't mentioned, and we were talking about the NBA, Joel Embiid, the performance he had last night, that was the cherry on top of the cake that he's going to win the MVP. But when you start seeing nobody's giving up more points than Nikola Jokic, when he was the run, it was like his defense has improved and put up no numbers. But now you're seeing the numbers and everything is switched. And of course, Vegas has said, oh, here are the odds. And so you already know what it is. I'm glad because I'm not going to lie. The Sixers haven't been to the conference finals and the Nuggets have been once. And I got this from Mike Bassick from 105.3. He's like, if you winning 2 and 3 MVPs straight, you need to. Where's your conference finals run? Where's your finals run? Like that needs to. Normally, when guys make that, it's not a postseason award, but normally the guys that win it just happen to be so good that they make it there. And I would like to see that from Jokic. Unless he played the Lakers, I wouldn't want to see it. But I do need to see more playoff success. And I think the problem with the Sixers is going to be Boston is really what I didn't know the old buddy just came in and he's coaching them well. He's doing that. And it's going to be on Doc Rivers. Like, can he not make the mistakes? Can he make the right adjustments?
Yeah, they got to beat Boston and Milwaukee.
They're going to have to be one of them to make the conference finals. And then that will validate his MVP. And I think he needs to get past that second round. But as far as Luka, there's the elephant in the room. When did he sign that extension? And when is it up?
I think after next year. After next year, he'll be a free agent. And I just think Luka needs to be paired with a leader. And you saw that with Kyrie, but it happened so early in his career when LeBron came back. LeBron was clearly the leader of the Cavs. And then other than that, Kyrie tried to put himself as the leader. And it didn't
work out so well.
The Celtics and Brooklyn, really more in Brooklyn. With Luka, he needs. I think if he teamed with a player like, I could damn sure see him and I'm not saying both to play the same position. I'm just talking about like the leadership quality, like a CP3. What's another leader that's not necessarily the starter team, but he is known for his leadership?
That's why I start a team and not a leader.
Because I know there's some like role player got like I say like a JJ Redick. Not JJ. JJ Redick, but he wasn't a star, but he was a leader. He needs some of these players on his team, a player that will hold him accountable. And because you see it, because his demeanor on the court.
I think Jaylen Brown. He's young, but he's a young veteran. Yeah. But he's a guy that he's the head of the players union or high up in the players union. So you have the respect. And let's be real. I know that I've heard this from, because I've heard this from people that follow him. The offenses came up, but the defenses came down. If you go somewhere where somebody that you got to hold accountable, and they're the better offensive player than you, then the defense turns back up. I think the key to the Celtics, if they're going to do something, is if he turns his defense up and really locks in, because that's what Tatum, impressed me with his defense coming on. Because what they did to the Nets, I can't get it. I'll never forget that. I was like, bro, y'all just swept them like that. I mean, they clamped them up, and so I think a player like that
bring up AD. I didn't know AD really known for his leadership skills.
I don't think he's known for his leadership like that. But from playing, like, I know at times people get upset with him, but on the defensive end, I think if he's going to be the defensive anchor and key, he's going to be like, look, I'm cleaning up a lot of your mess in here. I need you to lock down on your man and handle business. So from that perspective, I can see it. But he goes, so I have a different relationship because I hear so much with him with, man, AD needs to dominate. He needs to dominate. So shout out to him for winning Player of the Week and stepping up. And I know we got these final thoughts. So, man, I'm trying to think of anything. Man, only final thoughts I really got is, man, I'm happy to see baseball season start out. Man, it's just good that the Rangers, they spend a lot of money in free agency. They signed DeGrom. The start was good, and then it went left, and it felt like, oh, was it just a one-off? And it was. He came out today. I was definitely distracted at work. I was watching on my lunch break. They won. The Rangers won 5-2. He got the win, and so it's just good. Like, it was a Wednesday afternoon, and there was some people in there. They was in there to see a superstar, and they got it. So it's good to have like one of the best players. I can't wait till we get a game against the Astros just to see how he looks. But and the Lakers, man, if they can just keep winning, if we can avoid the play-in, it's gonna be a problem. That's all I got.
My final thoughts, I guess. Well, if keeping with baseball, my Astros, they kind of a little sluggish out the gate, but they unfortunately had those injuries before the season, so they lost one of their pitchers, and then of course Altuve and Brantley, and so it's like right now it's just a lot of younger players towards the bottom of the lineup, but they get experience, and it's early in the year. I see. His final thoughts is Lamar needs to get an agent.
Yes,
Lamar. Lamar, I don't know with Lamar. Lamar he's finding out. He's just finding out the hellish side to the NFL.
His business is nasty.
Because I mean, I think I don't know if I brought it up last week or not, and I was like, Hick will bring this up right when we getting ready to close, but I don't think Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow, I don't think that their respective teams, of course, will not want to pay them that because they don't want to pay that much. But if they're not going to go through what Lamar Jackson is currently going through, but Lamar, it's a perfect storm, man. With him not having an agent, to the owners basically inclusion because they don't want to give him that type of money. Hell, even to your own team, kind of saying like, and all, we don't think you're worth that much money, not the money that you trying to request.
Yeah.
Because even before all of this came out, when they offered him that original like 130 something, which was a low, that's basically that's basically what they was thinking of him. And then of course his injury history. So it's just like, damn, dude, it's just a whole lot. It's a whole lot mixed up with the Lamar thing. Again, we definitely got to dedicate a whole show to Lamar Jackson and his timeline of his offseason.
And better yet, I know when it's gonna happen. Look up. We're gonna need to look it up whenever the deadline for the free agency tag, the deadline for the negotiation. That's gonna be when we're gonna have the big Lamar show, and it's normally on like a Tuesday, which I hope it's like on a Tuesday that we can cover it the next day. So, but man, it's gonna be interesting, especially with the playoffs coming on. Yeah. Like he said, and Ronnie Hunter, man, he definitely. Appreciate you checking out. He definitely got to get an agent. It's been big to do, but man, I'm excited, man. I'm tired of the Clippers beating my Lakers, So I'm hoping we can get a dub, but it's a back-to-back. And, like, they showed that AD medically probably shouldn't be playing on back-to-backs with that foot. But if he gives it a go tonight and LeBron goes ahead and plays, hopefully we can pull it out because I think we're going to be dangerous with that 6th seed. But, hey, man, that's all we got for you, man. This week, guys, I appreciate y'all checking out. I appreciate everybody in the comments from the love team.
And one more thing I want to get out, because what is it? It's the 5th of April now.
Yeah.
When is the draft? The 27th?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, that works out perfectly. So, that 26th, the day before the draft, we can use that day to, do our own little draft.
Let's do a mock draft.
Okay,
Let's do a mock draft. We're going to do the mock draft. We're going to do the
It works out perfectly. It'll be that Wednesday
draft.
right before the draft, yeah.
Yep, let's do it.
So,
let me get, because I'll be studying already. So y'all gotta check us out. Make sure y'all check us out on the 26th. Man.
Yeah, you gonna watch me put a franchise out of business with my GM skin.
No, hey, they gonna want to hire your boy. They gonna want to hire you. I ain't gonna lie. Nah, I'm playing. But hey, man, we appreciate y'all, man. I'm out. Shiny, you got anything else, brother?
Nah, I'm good, man. Appreciate y'all for all joining us, and we will see y'all next week.
All right, peace.
Peace.